Alrighty, I have done a lot of work and didn't get it on video, so I was doing some pre-assembly here and thought, you know, I need to get some footage. What I've done is I have deburred the deck, I have deburred the mains, I have cleaned the heck out of it. That's mostly what I've been doing, is cleaning it, scrubbing out. I sprayed it down with a hose to get everything out, all that coal. I had to get that coal out of there. So basically, we're doing a pre-assembly. We're checking the clearance on the bearings, and then I'm going to check rod bearing clearance. I'm going to take the two pistons out. Oh, and I'm checking the clearance on the block to see if the stroker crankshaft needs any clearance, any grinding down. Sorry, I don't know what to say. I just thought I need to get the camera. Yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I'm plastic gauging the crank. I went and bought some the correct tools. Yeah, I don't need to go through everything. I want to get some footage of this. So I'm going to be taking this apart again, but basically I'm checking it twice. I checked it with the dial bore gauge. I checked it with this and the micrometer, and I measured it probably 50 different places. It looks good to me. But this is the final test, the plastic gauge. And these are the ARP main studs. So we snugged it up. And now I think I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm going to go reread the ARP instructions, because I don't want to do it the wrong way and establish a bad habit. But we are going to be putting the side bolts in also. I did lubricate the studs. Not the stud going into the block, but the stud where the nut comes down on. Alright, here's the torque wrench I'm going to be using. I'm not exactly sure I trust it with my life. So I'm going to put it on for archery, you can have a scale to see what kind of tension it pulls. So before we completely put this together, I'm going to check this to see if it's hopefully within 5 or 10 pounds. But for now, I'm just going to torque it to the specs. I'm not worried about going over. These are ARP. So I'm going to go torque these and then I'll catch you up. Alrighty. I went ahead and torqued them down, removed them, and pulled the first cap off. It looks like we are right at 2 thousandths. I mean, it looks perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I'm going to pull the rest of these off and check them as I go. And I'm going to write it down. Well, I'll show you when I take it out, maybe. Actually, I have a light for you. That is dead on 2. Man, I'm happy. I was dreading this not being right. Looking good. Man, this has been stressful in the back of my mind the whole time for weeks. What happens? Oh, oh doggy. Yeah, you can just tell. So that's what a 2 looks like. That's a little bit bigger than a 2, maybe like a 2.1. 2. 2. You'll just have to take my word for it. It's around 2. Two. Man, I'm so happy. I am relieved for several reasons. I was also worried about ramming this thing. Well, I was worried about the bearings because the cam bearings, when I talked to the guy at the machine shop about the scratches, he's like, oh, it'll be all right. Plus you can, you know, maybe hit it with some Scotch-Brite or something. But that doesn't apply to the main and the rod bearing. So I'm like, oh, great. So I've been like absolutely delicate with these bearings. These aren't really that colored, but the ones that are in the block are really colorful. So I have just been concerned with, you know, these are pretty sharp. That's some hard steel. So I've been worried about hitting it with the bearing, hitting it with the crank and putting a gouge in it, you know, and the journal. So there's like 5 different reasons I'm so relieved right now. So I'm gonna pull the crank out. I'm gonna clean it off. I'm gonna clean the main caps off, main bearings off with that plastic gauge with brake clean. And then I'm gonna read again, but I want to put the crank back in with lubricant, because now we need to check rod bearings, clearance, and we need to check clearance with the, whatever it's called, the cylinder wall with the rod bolts. So it sucks that we have to pull it out and put it back in, but hey, it's good news. So I'm okay with that. I think this is called runout. Basically, we're seeing if the thrust bearing is straight. Keep the first and the last bearing in, lubricate it, and you put the dial indicator on the 3rd bearing and turn it to see if there's any, if it's bent, basically. Now it's going to drop a little bit right here because the oil journal, the oil, whatever it's called. Looks perfect. All right, I'm gonna check another one. I can't remember what it's called. I'd never heard anybody talk about this. That's why I wanted to get it on video. And there's another one that I think that's called end play. Oh, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna check this also for the same thing. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. We're checking that. I think it's called a flange. Maybe half. I saw maybe half. I think it's just moving. What we're looking for is making sure it's not going whoa, whoa. Yeah, that's perfect. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go back to the manual and, oh, and you know what? They did warn me. They said since the thrust bearing's not in here, the reluctor wheel might rub up against the back, but I didn't hear it. That's another thing we're gonna check. I'm just taking my time. I'm going painfully slow, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put the main bearings all in now and maybe leave it in for a while. The only thing I'm reluctant to do, or the only reason I'm reluctant to do that, is because I'm worried about if I need to clearance the rods up against the cylinder wall. But there's only one way to find out, is I have to assemble it. So we'll just deal with it. Another thing I did with the camera off is I took a file and filed some of the rough edges down everywhere, like on that weird looking shape thing. I smoothed off the edges. I was going to get a Dremel and drill down in there with the grinder, but I don't want to. I took enough of it off for me to be comfortable with the file, because the Dremel's going to throw it everywhere, and I have cleaned this thing like 3 times. It's a huge pain. it's completely covered in oil so it won't rust. So any kind of dust that I create, and then just dust in the air collects, and it is a pain to clean off. Brake cleaner does work, but then it's going to rust like within 10 or 15 minutes. So it's like a whack-a-mole game. Okay, I have reinstalled all main caps with their bearings. I heavily lubricated all the studs, and I probably torqued it down to like 20 pounds maybe, just because I might have to be taking it out again. It's very smooth. Oh, and I set the thrust bearing for no other reason than I just wanted to hit something with the hammer. I drove it back 2 or 3 hits because I was hitting it like a wimp because I'm worried about breaking something, and then drove it forward 2 or 3 hits. But we're going to check some more clearances here. It is absolutely silky smooth. As you can see, I'm just using my bare hand. Yeah, beautiful. It feels really good. What I'm going to do now, well, I'm going to check a few clearances. I think it's called in play, so I'll probably need to take that out. In play, I'm going to test, and I'm going to test the reluctor wheel. But the next thing, so this is bottom dead center, where the pistons will be as far down as possible. I'm going to put at least the first and second piston in right here to start checking rod bearing clearance. I'm still debating on whether to do all of them, because basically I will probably end up checking all of them just because I'm taking this very seriously. But I've got to install these, put the rod bearings on, install these without the rings, torque them up, check the, oh, and another thing is you have to put the plastic gauge in here. You don't get to put it right here. Which I'm glad I read. I never would have known that. Also, oh, and what I'm concerned with is taking all these pistons in and out 2 and 3 times and scratching the crank. Like I'm 50-50 on, am I going to end up hurting something for the sake of trying to check everything? I definitely need to check, at bare minimum, 2 rod bearings. But we'll see how hard it is to get the thing in and out. I mean, I know it's easy to get it in and out. It's just I don't want to nick the crank with the rod itself. That's very hard. So, bare minimum. Oh, and another thing, I'm going to check, and this is the main one I'm still haunting me, is the rod bolt, is that going to hit the cylinder wall? And I think I'm going to have to, if I really want to sleep well at night, I'm going to have to put all 8 in. I don't know if every single one is identical. So to play it safe, I'm going to end up putting them all in. So that's installing and taking out multiple times. So like probably 2 or 3 times. Because once you do the plastic gauge, you got to take it out again, because you got to come back and do it when it's lubricated. So anyway, I'm kind of on the verge of complaining. It's cool, it's moving forward, but I'm just not looking forward to taking all these pistons out 2 and 3 times. But we're making progress, and so far everything I've checked is perfect. All right, we are set up to test the end play. Got the dial bore gauge zeroed out. Okay, so what we're doing is we're seeing how much forward and aft the crank is allowed to move due to the thrust bearing. Okay, here we go. It's at 0. All the way back it went. Maybe 4. up maybe one. So I've got like 5. I'm gonna go all the way forward. Yeah, that's all the way. I'm gonna call that, it's just over 1. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's 5. It's 5 total. I think you want the crank forward though. And I can hear it moving in there. Okay, listen for it. All right. I think there might be one more. Oh, I think I'm going to check this. The reluctor wheel. Then we're going to flip it, and I'm going to drop 2 pistons in there, which I'm dreading getting the rod bearings out. I really am. Just for clarity's sake, on what we just checked, the in play, acceptable is between 0.0015 and 0.0078. So if we're at 0.5 or 0.005, I'd call that acceptable. Pretty much optimum, actually. Because with the higher performance stuff, I think they said you want a little bit looser clearances. I think that's to allow everything to swell up when it gets hot. But all right, what we're going to do next is we're going to rotate this thing and see how much basically it's in play. And there's not a whole lot of room for error on this one. So let me get it set up and we'll see what it does. I can't get my fingers up in here. Everything's in one spot. So I'm going to have to figure out another way to do this. Finally. Everything being all together is what was making it so difficult. I can't get my hands in there. But we're going to zero it out. Oh. That's another thing. I can't get my hands on that thing to snug it up. All right, I'm just going to try that. I don't know what I'm measuring here because it's coming out 10 or 15 thousandths. Like the wheel's bent or something. I'm not sure I'm measuring the right thing. I just assumed, I read some of the instructions because there's plenty of clearance. It doesn't look at all like it's right here. Ah. It looks good. But the dial bore indicator's going crazy. I'm going to have to read the instructions. Good news. The tolerance is 28. And we were at like 12 to 15. So that's only 50%. So I'm worried about nothing. Well, I wasn't really worried, but I was kind of thinking, how much is this going to cost to have to get this reluctor wheel hammered straight? But we're good to go. We're well within tolerance. I've just got to point this out again. That just makes me so uncomfortable. That those are so vastly different from each other. All of these are different. Some of them are just gray, some of them are blue and gray. That kind of variation just makes me very uncomfortable. And I spent too much money to be uncomfortable. That's why you spend money, so you're not uncomfortable. All right. I've dropped the first piston very carefully. And now I'm about to take the number 2 piston, put these bearings on it. Oh, and for the record, I did text a picture of these bearings to the machinist, and he said there's nothing wrong. I said, is there a problem or something? He said no. That just makes me very uncomfortable. I want uniformity here. Same part number, but some of them are like 3 years apart. Some of them are like 2022 and some of them are 2025. So that one's 08 or 06 25. 08 25? Man, that's brand new. Maybe the first one was 08. Dag burn it. Yeah, 10 2022. I don't like that. Why would they do that? All right, I just got both of them in. Well, I'm not going to do a video. It would take about 17 hours. Okay, so here's the deal. It's a pain because you have to put the plastic gauge on this, not the rod cap that you can easily get to. You got to do it inside, so you got to reach up underneath, no rings, so this is trying to fall out of the bore. Place that dinky little plastic right here on the inside of the crankshaft. I used tweezers, and then it stuck to the tweezers, making it infinitely more difficult. But I got it. So I'm going to do one at a time. I don't know why they tell you to do 2 at a time, but it's not going to work. Because you have to rotate it to get to the other one. And it looks like we're right at 0.015. Maybe a smidgen bigger. So it's under 0.015. 0.0015. That's very good. So I'm going to slowly work my way through the rest of them. I don't even know if that's showing up. It's smushed. And I don't know what the torque spec is for these ARP. I just went 45. It gets me close enough, I hope. Plus, I might look it up. Oh, I will definitely look it up before I do the final torque. I don't think if I did it 50 pounds or 40 pounds, it would have been that substantially different. But, man, I'm tempted to just count that one and let it go because this is a pain. It's a pain. If I let the camera roll while I did every single thing that went into just putting one of these in, I'd be like, dude, that sucks. That's a lot of time. But from day one, I said I'd never get in a hurry and I'm not going to take any shortcuts. So time to do the second one. I'm going to turn the engine. Oh, here's another thing I did. I installed the flywheel. I'm an idiot though. I spent all the time to clean up the flywheel, clean the threads, mount it up, because I was going to lock it in place. Because what happened was, since there's so little bit of drag, you see how easy it moved? I was just barely putting any pressure on it and it turned the crank. And it kind of smudged, and I cut myself. It smudged the plastic a little bit. Fortunately, it came out clean enough to read, but I'm just going to do one at a time. So, I'll put that right there. Well, see, it's wanting to fall over now. Look at this. Well, whatever happened last time, it went like that. Oh, there's the plastic there. Okay, so it actually is better on the crank than the rod itself. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to have the camera going when I do it, take these out, and I'm going to lower it with my hand down here. I'm going to lower it with one hand and try to finagle this tiny little piece of plastic. It's half the size of dental floss, with these tweezers up under here to go in between the crank and the rod. If I had one more hand, it'd be a piece of cake. Actually, if the tweezers cooperated with me, it would be a piece of cake. But I'm not complaining. I'm totally not complaining. I'm just trying to express the difficulties of it, because half the reason I'm doing these videos is to help people in the future who come across this stuff. And I've seen a few with plastic gauge, but I haven't seen anybody do rod bearings. And they definitely never mentioned, if I wasn't reading this manual, I would have never heard that you need to do the plastic gauge on the inside, on the upper. It's the upper, but since it's flipped, it's where the piston side. And it doesn't make sense to me, and I read it probably 3 times, because the reasoning in the manual, it said, in a very long-winded, confusing way, the reason you want to do it on the crank side instead of the rod cap side, the piston side versus the rod cap side, is something about when you rotate it to get to the other one. I don't see a reason why doing both of them together is going to change anything. So in a way, I'm doing the hard way because the manual says to. But in that same exact paragraph, I'm disregarding the part that says do both of them at the same time in so many words. They're not touching each other at all. I know they can twist on each other, but I checked to make sure that there was no pressure. It's just like, I'll do any more effort beyond this is just kind of overkill. So I think I did it in a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's a fancy $5 word. It's sufficient what I've done. I know that the clearance is good on this. And this has taken 6 minutes to say this. I'm not going to get frustrated. I got the information out there. I can clean this up in editing. Okay, this is piston number 1. And now that I have confirmed that this is going to work in piston number 1 and cylinder number 1, and that's regarding the bevel. That's I put this in the right place. I didn't get anything backwards. I'm going to put the other spiral lock in. And using this engraver, I'm going to engrave one on the cap and the rod itself. And as I work through this, they will all get the same treatment. Except they won't all say 1. For you slow people out there. Alrighty. We've knocked out first 4 cylinders. We got 0.0013, 0.1, I'll just say 13, 13, 17, and 18. And I don't think it's going to show up, but they're all marked. Good to go. And I'm not scratching up the crank or the bearings either, and that's my main concern. So we're going to have to put them back in again to check for clearances. So we're not even halfway there yet. Man, I just averted a huge disaster. I spent 2 hours minimum looking for the torque specs on the ARP 2000 bolts for the rods. I could not find them because Summit private labels, I don't know what company they came from to go to their website. ARP's website is horrendous. It looks like a boomer from 1997. That's how bad their website is. It's horrendous. I call Summit, call tech support. One, I complained that there was no paperwork, there were no torque specifications in any of the things that I bought. And I said, will you please give me the torque specifications for my rod bolts? And it was a woman. My instinct when a woman picked up is I was like, can I please talk to a man? I have done that at Napa, but I just was thinking, give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's not like literally all the other ones. Maybe she does know something. Took a while to go find the bolt rods, and she said something 3 equal steps, 82 foot-pounds. Wrote it down, and as soon as she said that, I was like, man, that's really high. OEM is like 45. That seems strange. But she was reading it off her screen. She was talking about something else. We were talking about, I really wish you could have just sent me the paperwork from the get-go. About 2 minutes later, I'm like, ma'am, did you say 82 pounds? That just does not sit right with me. Do you mind double checking? And she's like, oh yeah, that's what it said for the rod. I said, ma'am, this would be an ARP specific specification. It doesn't matter the rod. She went back and read, and it said 45 pounds. I said, ma'am, you do realize you just about made me blow my motor. That would have broken. Though they're not meant to have almost double the torque on them. I would have hammered on it, got up to 6,200 RPMs, and boom! Got it nice and hot. I would have blown my motor. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll try to look closer next time. So I hung up with her and hang up on her. I hung up with her. I told her, I said, I forgot exactly what I said. Like, I can't believe you just about told me to blow my motor. Oh, and I asked, is this not tech support? Is this not who I call if I have a technical question? She's like, yeah, we try to help out. She acts like she's doing me a side favor or something. I'm like, why would you tell somebody that? The fact that she doesn't know the difference between a rod and the rod bolt specification means she is unqualified to be in that position. She should not be giving information out. So I hung up and thought about it for a minute. I need to call back and talk to a manager, because who else is she going to give some wrong specifications to? I have a duty. I don't want her fired. She seems like a nice lady, but she is not suitable to be tech support for automotive industry. She's not. Instead of just saying, I don't know, or I'm not sure, let me ask a guy, or God forbid another woman. No, she was too proud. She just read it, and in her ignorance, she didn't know that it's the rod bolt, not the rod itself, where you get the torque spec. I wanted to document this. I'm not angry. I'm upset though that it's. Oh, and let me back up. When I first started talking to her about the instructions, I'm like, why didn't you guys send these paperwork with all these different things? They have so many different torque specifications and everything. I didn't get anything. She's like, yeah, I've been wondering that for a while too. I'm like, great. So I knew I wasn't the first person that called in and said, what the heck, where's my paperwork? And then, so they're going to snail mail it. Great, fine. So it's going to take 3 or 4 days. I said, well, do you mind emailing it to me so I don't have to wait? Oh, we don't have a way to email it. Summit, do better. If you keep this up, which I don't imagine, I'm going to talk to your manager, and then I'm going to determine whether I'm going to do business with you or I'll move on to Jags or somebody else. I hate companies that are big and so they quit trying and they don't care about the customer. I hate that. I will boycott your ass faster than you can freaking say abracadabra. So I'm not going to get angry. I got my torque spec. I think I went to, I did 45 anyway. Let me double check. I think I did 45. Yeah, I did 45 just to be safe, and it happened to be right. And I cannot believe I thank God I came that close. Because when she first said it, I was like, man, that seems high. But I guess that's it. It's an ARP 2000. But I've seen so many other torque specifications. I have never seen 82 pounds. The freaking head isn't, the main caps aren't even 80 pounds. That didn't make any sense to me. So thank God I caught that and asked her to go back and look again. All right. I'm glad I didn't say at the beginning I'm going to make this quick because it's 6 friggin' minutes. But this needed to be documented. Shame on you, Summit. Shame on you for not sending out paperwork. I could have avoided all this. Shame on you. I'm going to call you back, and I'm actually going to tell you what the manager says. I almost forgot. Early on in the conversation, she told me completely different than 82 pounds. She said something about go 30 pounds twice, which didn't make sense, and then torque to yield, I think 51 degrees. So I was writing it down because I wasn't thinking she was telling me wrong. After I wrote it down, I was like, wait, man, these are not torque to yield. That's why I'm buying these, because they're not torque to yield. And then that's when she went back and found, oh, well, 82 pounds. So she screwed up like 3 different times. The more I think about it, the more she does not need to be in that position. She needs to be at home teaching her little kids how to color, making macaroni owls. She has no business telling guys how to build an engine when she doesn't know the first thing about what she's talking about. Just finished number 6, and that's very easy to see, so I thought I'd get some footage of it. That's a good clean one, and they're all about 0.18, well, 0.0018, excuse me. It's bigger than 0.2, or I'm just going to say 2, and smaller than 1.5. I tell you what, this is a pain. Like, it's very time consuming. You have to be so careful with everything. You have to wash the plastic gauge off, and it's just tedious. But I like knowing for sure that all my rod bearings are on point. Today, I don't say it's worth the effort. I do intellectually, but a year from now, it's going to be worth the several hours it took. And I'm saying that only not even halfway done, because now I have to reinstall them to check for clearance on the block clearance, cylinder wall clearance, and in between each other too, and the number 8. Oh no, the reluctor wheel on hole number 8. So we're working through it. I just wanted to get a little bit of footage of the plastic gauge inside the engine. All right, they all checked out. I think I misread the gauge on the first 2 and misinterpreted it because all of them were about 18, maybe one was 17. That's, you know, some subjectivity. And I think I went, instead of going 2 over 15, I went 2 under 15. So I put that in my notes. Either way, they're in spec, but based on that, I think I just kind of read it upside down, so to speak. They all fit perfectly fine. The next step, I'm checking clearance with the block. Okay, hold on a sec. Down in here, there's potential rod bolt clearance problems. I've also got to check the number 8 piston with this. And when I was checking it, I saw it down there earlier. I wasn't able to move it, so I couldn't check it, but I could see what they were talking about. So they recommend doing 2 pistons. They recommend the first 2. I don't know why they don't recommend just doing 8 and 7, because you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw in piston 8 and piston 7, so I can check the reluctor wheel and the block clearance with the rod bolt. If there is a problem, then I'm going to install the rest of them. But I really don't want to have to install these again, this time with lube, install them all, because I'm going to have to take them out again, because I could potentially have to grind that. Plus I haven't torqued the main caps correctly. I just snugged them up because I knew I was going to be taking these off several times. Another thing, maybe I'm just dumb, but I did I think I did 3 sets of bolts to measure their stretch with those. And I swear they got shorter after I torqued it. And it happens at 4 of them. The first 2, I'm just going to chalk it up as I wasn't real careful measuring it. But the next 4, they all seem to be like 0.005 shorter after torquing them. So I don't know what's up with that, but fine with me. So I'm going to figure out what to do now. I think I'm just going to throw 8 in. Oh, and another thing I left out. Since I don't have rings in there, I'm just using automatic transmission fluid for lubricating the cylinder walls. It's also helping me clean it as I go, so yeah, for what it's worth. Nothing has broken, so I guess it's okay. All right, I'm gonna get these pistons dropped in there, and we'll see how much clearance we've got. Oh yeah. It's not even close. It's at least a ½ inch off. and then now the best news. Man, look how smooth this is. Literally the weight of it just pulled it down. Now the best news, we're watching this right here. That's at least a ½ inch. We are not even close. 40 thousandths is the minimum. We are not even close. So I'm not going to have to install all these. I'm willing to bet that all the rest are going to be the same. And if I install all the rest of the pistons after the rings are on them, and I find that, oh, number 3 and 4 are different, then I will address that. But I am confident this is not even close. And I've turned it over every direction to see if there's anything that's close. Yeah, I'd say there's a ½ inch between the reluctor wheel and piston number 8. You can't see it, but you can see the piston move right there. Oh, of course, now it stops doing it. Yeah, right there. It will settle down with the rings installed. It's just flopping around in that cylinder wall loose. Man, I gotta say, the clearance between the crank and that piston, though, that is very close. Yeah, it's probably from this angle it looks worse, but I hope it's not hitting. I'm pretty sure I can see light. I'm gonna get a mirror just to double check since I'm here. But those pistons have to come out anyway because I need to torque the main caps down all the way correctly. But this is still pre-assembly, and that's a good report. Forgot to mention one thing. I'm gonna clean some of this up, the assembly lube up. But I also need to check the clearance between the bearings, the rods themselves. I'll double check. I think I read 0.004. I saw it in the book, so I'm going to reread the... Man, there's not a lot of clearance, that's for sure. I'm going to read what it is, and I'm going to test them with those feeler gauges. .0043 and .02. Rod side clearance. All right, I'm going to double check the manual, see if this is where you check it, but this is .005, which is a decent amount. It's 25% bigger than the minimum, which is .004, and it's comfortably in there. I don't know if it's supposed to be absolutely between these two, but they're probably stuck together because of the... Yep, there we go. Yeah, that's plenty. And now, since I'm here, I just, out of curiosity, I'm gonna pick the biggest one and see what is that? I really need to turn that off. Hold on. Boom! I went right to it. Man, being an expert professional mechanic is just It's really cool. I wish everybody could experience it. 0.020. Okay. Well, I guess it does barely fit. I have to squeeze it in there, but yeah, it fits. So I'd rather it, from what I've heard, I'd rather it have a little bit more clearance because of the, it's going to be boosted. I'm comfortable with what it is. It's going to swell up when it gets hot. All right, well, I'm going to drop these two out, unfortunately. You know, I might just loosen them up and then torque this. No, I got to take them out anyway, do rings. Yeah, I'm going to take those pistons out and I'm going to start filing rings. That's going to be fun. So yeah, this will probably be the end of this video. Actually, that's a perfect spot to stop. I can do just lower end clearancing. I don't need to do a video on torquing. There's 1,000 videos on torquing the mains. But if you're curious, follow the manufacturer of the bolt specifications. Not some woman who's pretending to be tech support for Summit Racing equipment. Have a nice day. One last thing. This video will be released before I get to this. But this thing is crooked. This flywheel is crooked. If anybody sees this video and knows if that's okay, doesn't seem like it would be, but I even took it off and laid it flat on the ground to see maybe I didn't put the bolts on straight. I swapped the bolt out, but you can definitely see it's a little crooked. Now the only thing that I'm thinking, I don't think I did it, but I did when I was using it to hold it from turning. I did put this on there, but I didn't do it tight enough to bend this. This is some really hard steel. That takes all the horsepower of the engine. But I don't think it's supposed to be that wavy. Great. Something else to buy. If you know anything, let me know.